Hi there, welcome back to John Thoumire Garden Designs, and this is yet another short walk around one of Scotland and Edinburgh's lovely little gardens. So today we're at Preston Hall Walled Garden, which is just off the A68 near Path Head, and I've never been here before. It's quite a surprise actually, and for the sake of trying to get a really nice opening shot, I have plonked myself on top of a rampart, which is not a great idea, seeing as I don't actually have a great head for heights. But I tell you, the view is something else. So I hope everybody is really appreciating this, because yes, it is raining, but that's also beads of sweat on my forehead. So the walled garden is a later addition to the house. We'll get to that. But in about the 1700s, the original house, which is somewhere in this direction, is a massive place. One of those old stately places that you always see. That was built then, and original foundations were early, I think 1709. And then along came the 1800s, and they decided that they wanted a vegetable garden and just some other bits, and that's what's happened here. So we have on this side a massive orchard, and we'll go down and see some of these things a little bit closer in a while. And originally the garden was for herbs and fruits, vegetables, things like that, but they also had a lot of very, very wealthy, very good guests, and so they felt they really wanted to have like cut flowers all the time for them. So that's what the other use of this was. And what's happened now is just time passed, and for many, many years it did really well, and there was a lot of things happening. And then the Second World War hit. And what happened there was, many walled gardens throughout the UK, what happened was they went into disrepair as various things happened. It turned into places for planting, and it was just like that really. And then came 1970, and the place went into total disrepair. And what happened was that it just turned into a bit of a jungle. And I've got some pictures of what it was like before that I'll post later. But as you can see, it's been turned into this. And this is all because of a guy called Richard Edward, who in 2011 came to see the garden, knowing that it was derelict. And he approached the landowners and said, would you mind if this became a bit of a project of mine? Now Richard, I've been told by a very nice guy at the front gate called Will, he's not actually got a horticultural background. He was an agricultural engineer, farmer, things like that. He just wanted a pet project. And so since 2011, he's been coming and putting just various plants in, putting trees in, and they rely on some volunteers to basically look after the place a couple of days a week. It's quite different. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to try and go down some stairs, some live camera work, which will be very interesting. Let me just make a move here because it's gotten quite busy up here. That's right. As you can see, it's a busy place to visit. I'm just waiting here. Well, there's now actually a little bit of a queue there. And I've got a dog here. That's very nice. Okay. So we're going to try for stairs. Now, I don't know if any of you remember a show called Drop the Dead Donkey. They had an intrepid reporter called Damien Day, and he had a cameraman called Jerry who was always falling and having really bad things happen to him. And I'm feeling a little bit like that right now. Hello there. Hi. So if you see like a sharp crash, tumble, broken bones, lots of things like that, do call emergency services. Preston Hall, Midlothian, just off Path Head. So we've made it safe and sound. So I was up here. I feel a lot better now that I'm down on the ground. I'm just going to navigate some gravel. So this is all the original wall, as you can see. And now we get to the actual garden itself. Now, people who have been to walled gardens in the past, you'll notice that frequently they're beautifully manicured, razor-sharp lawn edges, not a weed in sight. Now, because of the limited scale that this place has, they just accepted that. They accepted that they wouldn't be able to have that. So you do have some bare ground. You don't have these lawn edgings. You can kind of see here, along the corners here. Nobody's been here with a strimmer, and don't think I'm talking about that in a bad way. This is quite an original place to actually visit, because you're not going to feel like you're almost in like a horticultural museum. This is very natural. It feels like everything is still on trial. And it's really interesting to see, from what I've been told, Richard, the guy who, I say again, single-handedly did this. He comes along, he'll maybe go to a garden down south, maybe up north. He sees a plant combination. And what happens is, if he likes it, he'll borrow it. He'll borrow the plants, not literally. He will take the combination and he'll plant it here where he thinks it might work. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But when it does, you get lovely displays like this, where you've got pennisetums, and you've got the lavender mixes, you've got rosemary. If you look around here, you've got mixtures of spireas and berberis, and some of it really works. I'm just going to go to this border here. I'm sure they all have proper names as well, the various borders, but I can't remember them. Sorry. This is my notes, which literally minutes before I went live, the heavens opened. So not only was I wet, but I was terrified of heights. Bad. So this is one of the borders. Now, you can see a lot of bare ground. That's okay as well, okay? That's what this garden is about. They have espalier going on, and they have, we'll go over to it next, they have a wonderful espalier orchard section. So the other thing is about this place is it feels, it's very difficult to describe. All the plants here are quite mature. We've got perennials, we've got perennial borders, but it feels quite impermanent. It feels like it's ready. It can be changed at a moment's notice, and it won't actually make an impact. And there's something about it that I really like. I like this changeable idea of the nature here. Now, obviously, your apple orchards, they're going to be there. It takes years for these things to actually mature. But I'm going to try. We might have to speed up, and those of you with travel sick issues might feel it about now. Okay, so right here we have, for example, borders, just dahlia borders. Okay, and that's what this entire row is. As if he just said, I like dahlias, I'm going to plonk them all here. Okay? There might be designers out there who, they're not a fan of that at all. There's very little structure here. I think putting a plan together for here would be a waste of time. So you've got dahlias here, and then you've got fruiting berry trees along here. Raspberries, from what you can see, raspberry rows, canes. More canes. And then you've got this low border, which is a gem. It's a real gem. Look at these types of these lilies here. If you can see them. Look at the colours. And then I can't tell, I think it's echinacea or monarda. I think it's actually echinacea. Again, all of these are quite popular at this time of year because they keep flowering. You will see some of the standards. You will see the rudbeckias. You will see the sedums. You will see the eryngium and the crocosmias. Although the crocosmias are going back a little bit at the moment. You should also note that Scotland has recently had unprecedented levels of rain. And the garden, I know my garden is flat as pancake. I was told that even 3 weeks ago the place was looking more stunning. I still think this looks amazing. It's absolutely worth a visit. I mean, rain or not, I'm actually going to turn the camera around for this. Rain or not, you have to admit, that is looking pretty stunning. And just a pan. This is that border in its entirety. Okay, back to my ugly mug. So we're going to keep going, and I'm going to show you one of their Spalia very large dog, just nearly took out my legs. Live TV, loving it. So we have some excellent examples of Espalier here. So if you remember from a few days ago, or a couple of weeks ago, Espalier is when you're training apple trees, very specifically to these wires. And what you want is to have the branches at a horizontal level, and apparently it aids the growing. It can take longer to get fruit. From my memory, it's 5 years before you can actually start picking. But I was told everything here is about 8 to 9 years old. And look, wonderful examples. I'm not going to pick them, they're not mine. I don't want to get in any trouble. But you can see you've got your Espalier section here. And then immediately behind, we got viburnum, and purely because my eyesight isn't what it once was, I can't quite tell what the other things are, but it's looking great. So I'm going to move to another section of the garden. Hopefully I'll survive. I don't see the dog. I do love dogs. I have a dog, as everybody knows, but this was quite a big one, quite a heavy one, and he looked like he was going to take my leg clean off, unintentionally. So the center fixture of the garden is this lovely thing, which, if I think about it, probably would have been a better place to actually start the show instead of like risking life and limb upstairs. But this dial is, I don't know the history of it, but for me, it's a really nice center point for the garden, a nice place to navigate from. And I really liked this when I came and visited it earlier. Again, everything has a slightly unkempt feel, but I really like it. It really is very, very, very easy to walk through. It's nice to amble. And you see pockets of planting maybe you wouldn't expect. It's like we've got another Espalier tree here that maybe was tied next to a berberis. Random, but it's nice to see. This is a pond of some sort. I don't know if it's under renovation. But when it's done, I can feel that it would be great to go through. So we come through this kind of stone gate to this little island. And again, it's very, very peaceful. This is actually quite a large walled garden. The compartments, as I've mentioned, are not clearly defined. And so I can tell there's lots going on over here, but I still feel very much at peace in this section of the garden. And it's just interesting how they've done that. Okay, great. This is a lovely, lovely border that goes along the back of the wall. Okay. So we've got your typical late summer flowers, but look at this giant tree, this large apple tree trained to the wall. Works really well. Obviously, there is a purpose to that. But I don't know, it just works. It's really good. So, I don't know how many times I've said good, or beautiful, or lovely this time. Apologies if it went a little bit nuts. Again, I'm going to continue to wander around the garden. It's open throughout August from, I think it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There might be more. Please go to the website and the Walled Garden section to find the exact times. It's £6 for adults, free for children under 12, and it really is. It's an amazing place. Outside of the Walled Garden, you have this amazing park area with a beautiful river, lovely tree specimens. You can do a day out here easy. Nice day, bring a picnic, absolutely worth it. So again, we're going to try and finish with the... No, I can't. There they are. I was going to try and finish with the two towers though. But there we go. But look, thank you again for joining me. And please come back tomorrow for the Gardens and People closing ceremony based in Moscow, where we'll be doing our final live stream from the festival. Thank you again so much. This is John Thoumire Garden Design, and see you next week.